17 years before the company instructed audiences to get the F out simply by booking episodes of Raw so bad everyone stopped attending them, they kicked off a marketing campaign designed to make the best of a very, very bad situation. In 1994, Vince McMahon had made an agreement with the World Wildlife Fund not to abuse the WWF initials. Then spent the following 8 years wiping his arse with that deal while murder shagging a panda. By 2002, the group were out of patience and McMahon himself was out of luck. The World Wrestling Federation was doomed, World Wrestling Entertainment rather awkwardly shunted in as its replacement. It's been a little over 17 years since the company made the switch, and in 2020, WWE will have formally outlasted WWF. Yes, we're all that old, but is the company really that different now? Well, my god, lol, yes it is big time. My name is Adam Cleary, and these are 10 huge ways WWE has changed from WWF. Number 10, TVPG. Long blamed for a creative collapse by the angriest and most misguided corners of, well, you lot, WWE's 2008 move to PG was an inevitable result of major changes Vince needed to make to the company. The implosions felt from the Chris Benoit double murder suicide in 2007 spoke of the ticking time bomb the industry had been for decades. If WWE weren't really willing to make wholesale changes to their practices, they at least needed to present a strong indication to their paying customers that they were at least trying. Pulling back to PG from TV14 was a statement of intent, but it also drew a line under the company's post-Attitude Era identity crisis. The sex, the blood, the thunder of the time already felt desperate by WrestleMania 18, but WWE's flirtation with depravity had gone from creative and powerful in 2000 to crude and puerile several years later. A change of pace, even if it meant trying to appeal to children again, was probably a good thing. Number 9, the developmental overhaul. Seeing firsthand how few talents were emerging through an evidently broken system, Triple H, in his first real major job for the company, massively changed things behind the scenes. Permanently wresting the keys to the kingdom from John Laurinaitis in 2011, Hunter reimagined the failing Florida Championship Wrestling as a scaled-back version of the equally catastrophic NXT. From there, he began transforming that into what is still occasionally the hottest ticket in the entire wrestling universe. Part training school, part super indie, the black and gold brand rapidly became beloved by Orlando natives attending tapings of Full Sail University. As well, of course, as viewers thirsty for the sort of sports entertainment they were not getting served on the main roster. A near-perfect product at times, NXT's only true failing, some 7 years after inception, remains in just how well it nurtures the characters held within. Carefully plotted and carefully planned, the gimmicks and matches delight by design before the main roster monster either sends them into the stratosphere or spits them out into the abyss. Number 8, the independent influence. WWE had perhaps never been ideologically or commercially further away from its competition in 2002. A name change could have spelled disaster in a different time, but by then, the rest of the wrestling world was a virtual irrelevance to every single person in Stamford, Connecticut. Though Vince McMahon had once profited on the territorial experience of his 1980s signees, he had little interest in those that made their names on the independent circuit. Internet favorites were renamed and retrained as per the system, regardless of the seemingly blatant detrimental effect that would have. CM Punk and, to a lesser extent, Daniel Bryan were outliers amongst many of their former colleagues until Triple H's NXT opened its arms to the world outside the universe. For better and, yes, for worse, it has fueled a different kind of boom period for the industry as a whole, temporarily reigniting motivations and money men from the ground up. Number 7, the Supersized WrestleMania. The dead man may have lost WrestleMania's true greatest prize in 2014, but the event itself suffered a bigger hit that same year. WWE had historically extended the grandest stage beyond the typical 3-hour window, even during the pay-per-view era, but with the network's seemingly limitless space, the company's annual showpiece stretched to breaking point in 2016. It's created a host of new scenarios that fans still can't quite work through. WrestleManias are no longer rewatchable as a whole without taking full working days off in order to get through them. Main events often play to the shattered silence of an exhausted audience. They're almost impossible to pace and structure, as proven by a potentially spectacular 2019 card reduced to partial mediocrity due to sheer size. And the less said about how me and the rest of the great men of what culture got home that night is, Well, just for the best. WWE may yet offer a reprieve and simply extend the event over 2 days, but the modern era Manias will presumably continue to expand until what's hopefully that logical final destination. Number 6. 50-50. Now, yes, okay, admittedly 50-50 booking-esque bad habits had crept into the company before the 2002 name change, but still few could have predicted just how the once risky approach would murder star creation and strangle genuine storyline satisfaction for the entire next 17 years. Thing that gets me, right, about that time Road Dogg offered us the view that wins and losses don't matter was that the man wrestled pretty much his entire career during a time when wins and losses actually demonstrably, obviously, mattered. Few performers ever went legitimately undefeated, but results absolutely had ramifications and signposted if a talent was being pushed and protected or cast off and cut adrift. Crucially, this practice created the semblance of an actual pecking order, which in turn established a sense of competition about a product that was rooted in the idea of one wrestler needing to defeat another. The systematic damage 50-50 has done, though, means that WWE, in a time when it has more talent than it has ever had, also has a genuine dearth of genuine stars. Number 5. Money. 2008 was financially transformative for WWE, but not in ways that particularly benefited the actual consumer. Moneyed television deals and the problematic, let's call it, relationship with the Saudi Arabian General Sports Authority saw Vince McMahon diving into McDuckian rivers of gold. But these wads of Wonga were brand new in comparison to their traditional takings. Gone was the need to bring home the bacon from live events, pay-per-views, or merchandise. WWE scooped over 50% of their revenue from the aforementioned deals, as well as other investments and endorsements. Don't get me wrong, they're still wrestling small fortunes from all of us, but our hard-earned investment no longer reflects a financial majority. These corporate culture changes can largely be credited to Stephanie McMahon and Triple H's gradual takeover of the operational side of the industry. In fact, from WWE's original top table, only Kevin Dunn remains, and that is not a coincidence. Production style being one of the few things that hasn't massively changed since 2002. Number 4. Women. Not exactly a secret, is it, this one? Because WWE wouldn't dream of ever letting it be one. Basically, the manner in which women's wrestling is regarded in 2019 compared to 2002 is... well, it's basically on another planet now. Loud, long, and incredibly overdue, the shift back from the Divas branding only officially occurred in 2016, but the work had been ongoing publicly ever since Triple H established the NXT Women's title years earlier. Rapidly and instantly considered one of the most prestigious belts in the entire organization, the strap was scrapped over in some of the best matches of the 2010s at the TakeOver specials. From there, it became almost exclusively about making overdue history. Women now have Royal Rumbles, Money in the Bank matches, proper Survivor Series encounters, Elimination Chambers, tag team titles, and have now main evented WrestleMania. With these milestones reached and rightfully celebrated, the next step becomes further normalizing their presence. Simply giving them the exact same kind of bad writing the men are entitled to get is not enough. Number 3, the wellness policy. Launched in 2006 after Eddie Guerrero's tragic passing, the wellness policy seemed better late than never until Chris Benoit's horrendous final actions in 2007 robbed it of any credibility. Testing for performance-enhancing and recreational drugs suddenly became as important as it should have been all along. Wrestlers faced suspensions that, yes, did knacker creative, but they appeared, if even only for public relations purposes, to be doing right by their performers. The necessary steps continue to be made to this day. WWE made good on expensive promises of rehabilitation to any past or present talent, and expanded the policy further to include testing general health, well-being, and physical fitness of talents before, during, and after significant injuries. It remains imperfect, of course, and several stars have been helped through some of its hoops, but even a frustrated and sidelined Daniel Bryan thanked WWE for protecting him during testing times. Number 2, the death of the pay-per-view. WWE swore blind the pay-per-view as a model was stone dead by the time they were ready to move away from it in 2014. Whilst they did slightly jump the gun in cannibalizing a corner of their business entirely, the differences were rapidly felt as soon as their grand plan was fully fleshed out. It was odd, and I'll admit it, a little sad to see the decline of pay-per-view, but WWE had inadvertently manufactured it by resolutely refusing to change with growing consumer choices. In a misunderstood effort to send customers to their new service, the company actively mocked those still shelling out the old-fashioned way. Monthly investments of $20 for shows that had every chance of falling below the standards of any given Monday Night Raw was unsustainable, but only because those standards fell in the first place, which is awkward. Future-proofing the B shows in particular with the network subscription ensured some customers were paying for them even if they weren't actively engaging, which of course is very useful for when you're trying to present air quotes viewer figures to your shareholders, I'd imagine. Number 1, the WWE Network. After initially absorbing enormous startup costs, the WWE Network has now safeguarded much of the company's future by simultaneously leaning on its dynamic present, but also its rich past. Giving many hardcore fans what they had wanted for decades, the network provides archives to rival any collection in the best possible quality from the vast expanse of the company's library. NXT found its true home on the service, along with the hundreds of hours the company produce in varied and original content. It's theoretically there to keep the company stable for generations, and probably would even if tomorrow they stopped producing anything new for it. With an attractive price point and what appears to be a baseline of around 2 million subscribers, the service stands as a profit-making safety net unlike anything anybody within WWE or WWF could have ever previously imagined. It has changed and now subsequently rigged the entire goddamn game. So there you have it, those are 10 ways WWE has changed since it stopped being WWF in 2002. Let us know what you made of it all in the comments below, and of course don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In the meantime though, thank you so much for watching. I've been Adam Cleary, a man who has had to endure a slow and painful glow up since 2002, and I'll see you soon. Bye.